Joining us now, she's our good friend who's been on the show, I think, every year since 2017 when we had her on the summer after she led the U.S. junior national team to the gold in Clearwater. Ever since then, she keeps coming on and for whatever reason did not turn us down, which we're very fortunate about. And I speak of obviously one of the most decorated players in the history of U.S. softball at Fresno State. And of course, the head coach at Oregon State, fresh off a trip to the Women's College World Series. I speak of Laura Berg, kind enough once again to join us for our traditional get together. Your resume keeps building now.
I've been very lucky, very blessed. I look forward to our yearly meetings.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, you are because as we're recording this, your New England Patriots beat my Miami Dolphins in the last game, so I know you've been chopping at the bit since the last couple of years. Usually, I've had the upper hand, but I'd be remiss. I want to bring up obviously what has this offseason been like for you after that incredible run for you in the program last year that will getting all the way to Oklahoma City.
mhm.
What has this offseason been like after that incredible run? Because I'm sure you run into coaches, peers, friends. What has it been like?
Yeah, still on cloud nine, running into coaches and seeing them out recruiting, all of them coming up and congratulating me and my program, my assistant coaches, travel ball coaches, coming up and saying something, recruits. So it's been a whirlwind. It's been a cool thing to be a part of. And I still, even driving home, I live about 20 minutes away from Corvallis. Driving home, I'll go back to the moments of when we won regionals, and then the final out of super regionals, and it just puts a smile on my face.
I remember I asked you in OKC. You said this was right up there because you've accomplished a lot, like your career. You've done it all in the
Mhm.
sport, but globally, one gold medal in the Olympic. You said this was right up there as one of your favorite
Yeah.
years of your softball life, of your life. Why? What was it about last year that was so special that you kind of knew? Because I remember we talked last year. We talked about the youth on this team, but you felt something special about this group even back then, before the year. What was it about last year that was so gratifying? Other than obviously making the trip, but there was more to that, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think a couple of things, make it special, and kind of puts it up there at the same level as the Olympic Games, being around such an incredible group of people. Mariah Mazon, kind of putting the team on her shoulders and kind of showing them the way. And just she was on a mission. She really was. And she did it offensively. She did it, in the circle. And to see the leadership and the growth of that kid, and the opportunities that have opened up since last year has been really fun to be able to watch, and to see her grow. For me as a coach and as a player, you always hear like, elite athletes can't coach. Elite athletes, don't make, good coaches. And so it's always that kind of that chip on my shoulder. And so, for us to be able to go to the College World Series, that's what makes it so special, and puts it right up there at the top.
And some would argue your postseason started a week before the postseason started with that Utah series, which was a big series.
Yeah.
We just had DJ Gasso on, the associate head coach at Utah. He acknowledged it felt like a tournament setting. I think
Oh yeah.
he kind of knew that, hey, the winner of this series likely gets in, the losers probably not, and he still talks about that first game of that series where you came from behind in dramatic fashion to win in extra innings. Did you all know going into that series what could be at stake here? That hey, this could be for an NCAA tournament berth, and that Friday night game that was maybe a turning point at that point for your team.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think both teams know the importance of that weekend. Even, now thinking about it, I think Utah got screwed. I think Utah should have been in the tournament. And I'll say that till the day I die. They felt, what we felt in 2019, which, sucks for them. It is now a chip on their shoulder for them to go into the season, to show everybody that they belonged in that tournament. But I will say it to anybody that they belonged in that tournament. It was a big weekend. I'm extremely proud of the players that looked at that challenge and, didn't overplay, didn't put too much pressure on them and try and make it happen instead of letting it happen, and that's every weekend in the Pac-12 though. Every weekend is, mini regionals and mini super regionals where you're trying to take the series from someone.
Yeah, no doubt, and that was proven to be the case last season and beyond. You win that series against Utah, so I'm just curious. You get to Selection Sunday.
Mhm.
What was the approach? Do you all get together? Were you optimistic, confident? Like, I'm curious, what was what was going through your thoughts as you get to that Selection Sunday night?
Yeah, I was still a little nervous. I was waiting for another 2019 thing to happen, where I'm having that talk at the end of the meeting or the end of the show of consoling and things like that. We did get together as a team. We got together in Gill and put it up on the big screen, and we watched together, and it was really exciting. I was kind of on double duty, so I had Brady, who has no idea what's going on, that we're all together. She's eating cheddar bunnies off of the floor, and I'm trying to watch her at the same time watch the screen, and so it was a fun and exciting moment.
What was the message to the team prior to the selection show? Because you mentioned 2019. I remember you were on 2019. We've talked about it over the years. You're still, I mean, you were literally upset, but you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds.
Yeah.
So do you kind of prepare them for all scenarios where, because it's an emotional thing. In that, it's a roller coaster, really.
Yeah.
Because especially as the longer it goes on the show and your name's not getting it, it just gets stressed out. So how did you approach it with your players going in? Because you don't know. I mean, you might have your own thoughts, but you have to protect your players from whatever, either worst case scenario, or best case scenario. I mean, you have to prepare them for almost everything, don't you?
Right, absolutely. And I kind of prep them before and just say, hey, you guys, there's a slight chance that we may not get in. Come to find out, we were, the last four in, which kind of blows my mind because there are teams that we beat and took the series from that got in before we did. So to me, numbers don't lie, and I'm kind of like, where's your head at? But it is what it is, and you prepare them for all scenarios.
Your name gets called in Knoxville, of all places. There, what was your reaction when you saw that? Because what's unique about your situation is you could go anywhere, basically, outside of unless of a Pac-12 team is hosting. But unlike other teams in the region, in the South, for example, where they can kind of guess going in, all right, we're probably going to be bust over here. You don't have that luxury, which could change down the road, which we'll get into later. So what was your reaction when you saw Knoxville there and a stacked regional with a really good Tennessee team, and then obviously Ohio State? And did you feel like your team almost felt like, hey, we got new life here. Let's we got the opportunity. Let's take advantage of it.
Yeah, there was kind of a little bit of a shift, during that Utah series, to where they you can see the confidence with them on the field, and the kind of the looseness that they had on the field. And so when we got that draw to go to Tennessee, I felt that we got a great draw, a tough regional, very tough regional. Ohio State, they had that lefty pitcher that she can throw it, she can hum it.
Hanley, yeah.
And obviously being the conference that they're in, they're tested every weekend, and so we knew it was going to be a battle with them before we can even get to Tennessee. And then Tennessee, knowing we played them, at the Mary Nutter, earlier in the year, that they were going to have, it out for us because we had come out on top, at the Mary Nutter. But I thought it was a great regional for us. I thought, all four teams were well deserving to be in the tournament.
You get to Sunday and you double up Tennessee, beat them at their backyard. I'm curious. Take me through that approach on that Sunday, and then you mentioned in Mary Nutter, you beat them at Mary Nutter. Did that help you from a psychological standpoint, from your player standpoint? Hey, we've beaten this team before; we could do it again. And then momentum, obviously, Mariah, a big part of that, but momentum carried you over in that Sunday to come back and win that regional.
Yeah, playing them early in the year and beating them definitely played into their confidence. At the same time, these guys, they were so loose in the dugout. It was so much fun. I kind of just backed away and said, "You guys." You do your thing. You do your thing. I'll write the lineup. I'll make the calls. You guys go and you do your thing. And they were so loose and fun to watch play. I was kind of like, you guys, where was this all year long? but they got hot at the right time. And so it was a really fun process to watch.
Well,
And as a coach, I learned a lot through that whole process. You know what? I'm going to get out of their way. I'm going to help them with what I can help them with. My assistant coaches will help them with what we can help them with. But at the end of the day, they're the one with the bat in their hand. They're the one with the ball in their hand. So I'm just going to get out of their way and let them do it.
what went through your mind when you won that last out was recorded? You won that regional.
Did this just happen? So, it just was like, it was cool. It was very cool. It kind of took me back to like the Olympic Games, being on the field and recording that last out. Kind of a sense of relief, getting that last out. It for the most part was an easy last inning. We tend to make those last innings pretty difficult to get out of, but Mariah made it pretty easy for us to be able to win that ball game in that last inning.
You end up playing Stanford, who wins the regional at Alabama. So now you're facing Stanford. What was that like, facing a familiar team, your own league? Jessica, Coach Alistair even told me that she wasn't thrilled because that means she had to deal with Mariah more. But you took it to him. You went to Palo Alto. You won that Super Regional. I remember all the fans that came out from Corvallis. Pretty special moment there for you to win that Super Regional, get to OKC facing Stanford there. What was that weekend like?
That weekend was incredible. The electricity on that field was, I remember being in the coach's box being like, wow, this is what it's all about right here. This excitement, the energy from the dugout from both sides was incredible. Stanford did a phenomenal thing going to Alabama. We've been there before in regionals. We know how hard it is to win there. They did a fantastic job going there and beating Alabama in their backyard. So I was super excited for them to be able to do that. We're always rooting for Pac-12s, by the way. But going there, we knew it was going to be tough, facing against Votner and their pitchings. They have a three-headed monster. They've got three pitchers on that staff that throw very well, extremely well, and they've got speed like nobody's business. And so we knew we were going to have to play our A game and not have any errors. We couldn't give them any freebies. And I thought these guys did exactly what we needed to do.
You win that Super Regional, you get to OKC. What was it like for you that first time you walked into that stadium at OKC? A stadium, look, you won a national title there with Fresno State. You've played there before with Team USA. What was it like being there as a head coach?
It was incredible. I mean, a lot of memories kind of flooded back from the days that I played. The field definitely looks a lot different than when I played. Even when I played, later in my career with Team USA, it looks a lot different. And super excited for the student athletes now. That's what they deserve. That's something that they should have and be able to play in. So I'm super excited for them. And, just being back there on that field is just, Oklahoma City, that's what softball is. It's the hub of softball, and to be there as a coach was incredible.
Of course, you weren't the only Pac-12 team there. Arizona got there. They had their own incredible run. UCLA was there. Speak to the pride of the Pac-12, because you've even alluded to it. I mean, I know that talking to a lot of the coaches in the league, there was a chip on the shoulder. It's been brewing a couple years about respect and seeding and all that from past years. The Pac-12 had a successful tournament. You making the run to the World Series. Arizona, as I mentioned. UCLA. Stanford getting to the Super Regionals. Did you all feel like you made a statement there as a league as a whole? They're making a huge statement there that was pretty loud. They say, hey, we're a great league here. We play softball here.
Yeah, I sure hope so. I know there's a little bit of biases towards the SEC. You see that, every year. And look, Utah got screwed. So I think Utah, again, should have been in the tournament. But they elect to take more teams from a different conference. It is what it is. And hopefully, we went out and proved to them that we're still the best conference in the country.
Your season ended against Arizona. How unique was it that you and Caitlin Lowe got to share that center stage? Because that was a big moment for her, too, following Mike Kendrea, who obviously you played for. And here you two are in this huge stage together. Mixed emotions, obviously, because, you're both competitors. You want to beat the other. You want to advance your players. But at the same time, you said she's one of your best friends. So what was that like, sharing that stage together?
Yeah, truly awesome. I am a huge Caitlin Lowe fan. I was a huge fan of hers when we were teammates together. A huge fan of hers, coaching against her. She has a passion for the sport that not a lot of other people have. And, I was pumped for her, super excited. They had a little bit of a rough season, and they survived. They did it. They did what they needed to do. They got hot at the right time and were able to make it to the College World Series. And I was super excited for her in her first year. How awesome is that?
Yeah, it's pretty good for her. She's doing pretty well for herself there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have this incredible year. Now you fast forward to the fall. What's the message you tell your players? You have a lot of returners from that experience.
Yeah.
But now that comes, I'm sure they got patted in the back all summer long. Hey, you were awesome, everything. What was the message in the fall, and how do you kind of focus them and not have a hangover, if you will?
Yeah. I tell them, hey, a lot of people think we got lucky. A lot of people think that we didn't deserve to be there and that we just got lucky. And to prove it to them that this wasn't luck, this was our skill. This was the level of our play. And that's what got us to Oklahoma City. And, I remember working out with Brandon Marcello, on my speed and working with him on my running technique. And I would do it right once. And he would be like, all right, next time do it on purpose. And I'm like, okay, thanks, Brandon. But, that's what I tell hey, let's do this on purpose now. Let's get back to the College World Series and show everyone that we do belong here and it's not luck.
Yeah, you mentioned even earlier in this interview, but you mentioned it as well during Oklahoma City, that you learned as much, if not more, from your team last year than they learned from you. What did you learn? What did you take from as a coach that you're going to apply moving forward? You said, because that was pretty interesting when you said that you said you learned more about the team. And you mentioned how they were so loose and you kind of learned from that. Tell me about that, because coaches, you're always learning something, right? You're always looking for things to get better at. So what did you learn from last year that you're going to apply moving forward?
Sometimes, what I've learned over the years is sometimes I want it too badly for them. I can't do that. I have to step back because this is their experience. They're going to have to want it. And then, just kind of getting out of their way, let them, I've given them the answers. I have, helped them develop their skills. Now it's time to just kind of step away and let them do it, instead of trying to force them.
Obviously, one player that doesn't come back as the legend is Mariah. I think this is the first time you've been on this show where we haven't talked about her. I feel like maybe since the first time you came on, where we kind of talked a lot about the U.S. national team. Talk about her legacy first, because before we get into the current players, because I think that has to be brought up. The legacy, the impact that she gave to your program was immense.
Yeah, Mariah had an incredible year, and it would have been an even better year had she not been hurt. She ended up pulling a hamstring, and was out for probably about 3 weeks. And credit to our training staff, they got her out there sooner than probably most, and so I'm incredibly thankful for that. But Mariah just she put the team on her shoulders and said, let's go, follow me. If you aren't going to follow me, then you're going to get left at the train tracks, because this is where I want to go. This is my goal. And, let's go. So she was definitely a vocal leader, and she was also a leader by example. And, Mariah is just one of those hard-nosed, tell it like it is, give me the ball. I want the bat in my hand with the, winning run at second base. And, I'm going to get bullpens in the rain. She just is gritty, hard nosed. She was a water polo player in high school. So she's tough. The kid is tough. And even when she was hurt, she wanted the ball in her hand. But she just, I can't say enough for Mariah, and she's reaping the benefits of, her senior year.
Yeah, what's next for her, you think? What's her future going to look like? I know she's going to try to continue to play, but what do you think her future is?
Yeah, I'm sure, Athletes Unlimited, I'm sure she'll still play with them. I believe I just actually forwarded her an email from Italy, a team wanting for her to come and play in Italy. I would assume that Japan is an option for her to go over and play there. And then as far as Team USA, I don't know yet.
You don't replace a player like her. That's always a bad media question. You'll get asked about it, and you're going to be probably in your brains like, no, what? That's not a good question. But uh, one thing that was a positive of her injuries, other players had to step up, and in particular in your pitching staff, you had a lot of depth in your pitching staff, which really showcased itself during that postseason run. So talk about your pitching staff this year, because you lose a great one, but yet you do return some great talent that has experience, and you have some new faces.
Right. We've got Tarni Steptoe, who has international experience. She also dealt with some injuries last year, but is extremely competitive, throws extremely hard, great changeup. And so I'm looking forward to her leadership when she gets out there on the mound. Sarah Hindigas, man, I cannot say enough about that kid. She just was phenomenal. That kid, she's like, here, there's no too high or too low, bases loaded. I need to get this last out. Give me the ball, and she is highly competitive. Even when we're just doing inter squad, she's just like, she wants to beat them. She wants to be perfect and put every pitch where it needs to be.
No question. I mean, she had a 168 ERA, which is only right there with Mariah, 166. You won 13 games. Your staff as a whole was a 188. Who are them? Do you have any other new faces you can lean on from a pitching standpoint? Obviously, and you mentioned Steptoe. I remember last year you were excited about her because of that international experience. You thought she could make an immediate impact, and now, if healthy, can even give you more innings. How do you feel about yours? Do you think it'll be Sarah and Tarni carrying the staff? Do you see it being maybe another three-headed monster like you had last year or more? What's your outlook as far as your vision for the staff?
Yeah, I think we will have a pitching staff of depth. We'll have Tarni, we'll have Sarah. We also have Ellie Garcia, who just transferred here. And then we have Chloe Moffitt, who has junior college experience. And so I'm really looking forward to the four of them working together, complementing each other. I am looking for that Friday night, that Saturday night, and that Sunday night pitcher. And I believe we've got that combination. And like I said, they complement each other well. And then you add the addition of Jamie Southern. Jamie Southern is, when I played with her, she's now Jamie Wiggins. So Coach Wiggins, I think, will do a phenomenal job with our pitching staff.
Expand on that and adding her to your staff. Decorated player at US. I kind of was great to see her back in college coaching recently. There would take me through that process that when you had that opportunity to bring her on board and what you saw.
Yeah, I have known Jamie since I coached her at Fresno State. She's a four-time All-American, phenomenal pitcher there. And then she was my teammate on the World Championships in 2006. Oh my gosh, that seems so long ago. But we were able to kind of develop that bond. I saw her on the recruiting trail not this past fall, but the fall before, and kind of just started that communication up again. And I know she's someone that I can trust. She has a passion for the sport, but she also has a passion for the student athletes. She wants what's best for the student athletes. And so she develops that relationship with them out there on the mound. And she does just a great job of teaching the fundamentals of pitching.
Yeah, no question. I'm really looking forward to seeing seeing that go during the season. Offensively last year, obviously, what people think about your offense, one of the names that obviously comes to mind was Frankie Hamoud, who, I feel like I've seen her grow up in your program for a long time. Just talk about her. She had 15 homers, 40 RBIs, 384, led your team offensively. But you have other offensive players behind her. But talk first about Frankie and what she means to your offense.
Yeah, Frankie, she has the potential to be the most feared hitter in college athletics. She just needs to have that mentality. She needs to make sure she's not trying to do too much and just go out and do what she's capable of doing, because she can change a game with one swing of the bat. Frankie is so strong. Some of the balls, the home runs that she has hit, even ones that stay in the park, she hits them so hard it jolts you, it startles you. And it's just, Frankie, the production, in that RBI category needs to be a bit higher. So our numbers aren't quite, where they need to be offensively. We need to be more consistent in the offensive category. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with who we have.
Such a clutch player. I mean, I
Yeah.
think people started first knowing about her when she hit that walk-off three-run homer in the championship game against Japan in the Under-19 World Cup final, which I still remember. It's just kind of
Yeah.
wild, and she's kind of continued from that forward on. Who obviously you lose Mariah the Bat as well. It's not as well. So who are some of the other offensive players returning that you'll lean on, and some new faces?
Yeah, Grace Messmer, I'm looking for her to really up her game. She had the kind of the right atoms a little bit last year, hit some P rods. It just happened to be right at the players. Ellie Gottlieb, Ellie, I don't know why I call it Eli. I'm looking for her to step up her game in now that she's got a year of college under her belt, and what to expect to pick up in her numbers. Obviously Kiki Escobar being our leadoff hitter. It's going to be a big loss with Mariah, but I think we have the potential to be able to fill that spot.
Who
I
are
can
some of the who are the new faces on the team that you think can make an immediate impact? Because that was a big part of last year's success. Is you had a lot of new faces that made impact right away. Who are some new faces, whether it be freshmen or transfers, you think on the offensive end that can make an impact?
Yeah, I forgot to talk about Madison Simon. She
That's
had
right.
some international experience also at the Pan American trials in November. So I'm looking forward to the numbers that she is capable of putting up too. She can definitely fill that 3 hole spot that we'll be missing. But some new kids. Morgan Howie will be someone who can come in and fill a starting position, a starting role. Shay McDowell has a ability. Jenna Birch, Madison Clark. They're all fighting for some starting positions. Abby Dorr, transfer from Alabama. And Savannah Watley, she's got the capability of, she's a triple threat, so she has the ability to cause havoc on the bases. So I think we've got a pretty solid lineup 1 through 9.
Do you feel you have the depth? Do you like the depth you have?
I do, absolutely. And this is probably one of the most athletic teams that I've had since I've been here. I can put Madison Clark at short or at second base. I can put her at third base, if I needed to. Jenna Birch can play second. She can play third. I can put her in the circle if I need to. She would be a fifth option if I needed. But even Madison Simon, she's an infielder that's been converted to the outfield. So I know she can play wherever it is that I put her. So we definitely have depth. We have options.
You're going to start the year in Baton Rouge in the LSU tournament there, which, and I got to give you credit. You're one of those coaches. You'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime. Like and you mean it. Like you don't, you'll go to SEC places,
Oh
ACC
yeah.
places. Just talk about your scheduling philosophy. I mean, you're going to Tempe for a tournament, going to Phoenix to play games. Mary Nutter, you're going to be obviously back there at Palm Springs. Obviously, that tournament speaks for itself there, but you're also playing in St. George, Utah. So just talk about your schedule this year and your philosophy of just playing tough competition before you even get to the conference.
Yeah, I just think, playing top teams, gets these guys ready for Pac-12. Pac-12 is a grind. It's a lot of ups and a lot of downs. And to get these guys ready, one, to see a whole bunch of different type of teams, one, they've got a target on their back because of the conference that they play in. So when we're playing, teams from other mid-major conferences, they want to kick your butt. They want to kick our butt because of the conference that we're in. And so they need to know what that pressure is like. They need to know what the pressure is like of playing an SEC team and playing in an enemy territory. We're not, highly favorited or liked when we go to Baton Rouge. Well, how are you going to respond in that kind of situation? So I need to see that. I know Howard Dobson from national team stuff, and so I really like the guy. He's going to set me up with some crawfish, which I'm really really excited for. I'm a big, huge crawfish fan, and I think these guys, we've got a great schedule, great pre-conference schedule that will get them ready for conference.
I like this. A side deal as part of the scheduling agreement. I'll come to your place, but you better hook me up to some good crawfish over there. I think you'll be taken care of pretty well in Baton Rouge. I've been there. It's a fun place.
It is a great place, great atmosphere, great facilities. Obviously, they've got a great coaching staff, and a very well talented team. So it's going to be tough to go in there and play.
I don't know if the conference has a sense of humor or whatever. You're going to open conference play at Utah. Just continue where you finished last year. That's kind of wild. You go back to Stanford, ironically enough, too, during conference. I mean, I want to talk about the Pac-12 because what's different this year is you're going to end the season with a Pac-12 tournament at Arizona. Your thoughts on having a conference tournament and how much is that of an adjustment? Instead of getting used to playing that last regular season series, now you have a conference tournament to prepare for at the end.
Yeah, I like it. You can tell from the past that the teams in the SEC have benefited from it with the RPI and jumping from, lower rankings to a higher ranking because of how they finished in their conference tournament. And so I really like it. I think it'll boost our RPI even higher. And, I just think it is something that we've needed for a long time.
You used instant replay, obviously, during the postseason. You're going to have it during the regular season this year in conference games. Your thoughts on replay?
My thoughts, I want a little red flag. I want a little red handkerchief so I can pull a Bill Belichick and just drop it right out of my, pocket or something like that. So I'm excited for it. I think it's really going to. I know the umpires are excited for it. I know they want to get the calls right. And so, I'm really looking forward to being able to use it. It's kind of a little bit of a strategy now. So it plays in that game a little bit of when do you use that timeout or that
challenge, yeah.
Review that challenge. And so I'm looking forward to it. It'll be cool. Get us ready for postseason.
Well, now it's the big thing I said, because I felt like, if your leagues didn't have a replay during the regular season, you were kind of at somewhat of a disadvantage when you got to the postseason because you're getting used to this. This is a new wrinkle. You're not used to using it. Now you're going to get used to using it and be even more comfortable with it. I think this was great for the league, and it's great for the sport in general that more and more conferences now, this is going to be used in the regular season. Plus, the athletes are faster than ever before. Mm-hmm. It's hard for an umpire. No, we got to give them a hard time, but the sport is so fast that they're not robots. You're going to miss calls because of how fast these athletes are. So it's great to have some technology to back them up.
Yeah, the umpires kind of have the job of like the president of the United States. You're not going to make everybody happy. They've got a tough job. It is, and you sit back and you think, okay, the umpires don't care who wins. They want to get the calls right, and they do their best to be able to do that. And so the instant replay one, like it'll help the umpires. The umpires deserve to have all the help that they can get. And then the players, like you said, they're faster. The bats are a lot more lively. So I do think it'll really, really help out our game.
How did it feel this offseason not to have USA softball obligations? I feel like since I've known you, you've always been a part of USA softball in some capacity. What was it like for you not to be involved on a day basis and watching USA softball play? Yeah. And you're not being. What was that? Was that strange? What was that like for you?
It was very weird. Boring at times, but at the same time, I got to spend time with my daughter Brady, and so it's a double-edged sword. So I was a little bored because I really like to travel. I really like living out of a suitcase. I really like being around, the older players that, can really talk the game with you, really dig down into the weeds with you. At the same time, be able to stay home, get things done around the house, go recruiting, be on the recruiting trail with that. And then, be able to, there's nothing better than spending time with my 2-year-old.
Brady. Coincidence. There you go. Coincidence. So I think not. I think we know where your influence was on how the name came about. Brady. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right. I will let you have the floor here. You're a Patriots fan. It's been a weird year. You would first have to admit, not the most ideal Patriots season. I don't think this is a season you're bragging about, from compared to past years for sure.
Every team is going to have up years and down years, and you can't be at the top, every single year. And so it's been interesting to see how they develop and what Belichick does with his teams. Not sure about the offensive coordinator, but I don't get to make those calls. And I'm still wondering what the heck happened in that Raiders game. Like, what was the thought
Ooh,
process on that?
ooh.
I got up to go thinking they're going to be in overtime, go to the kitchen, bring something back and the game's over. I'm like, what just happened? I had to hit rewind. And so, yeah, still not happy about that, but whatever.
You've had a quick, yeah, that was one way to lose a game. That you also won a game on a punt return throughout the, so you've had some weird ways. Now, in fairness, you did end up beating the Dolphins as we record this. That was the last game that was played. We don't know what's going to happen moving forward, but you did beat the Dolphins, so I have to give you your props on that. You got bragging rights. And you scored a pick six against the Dolphins, who keep having quarterback injuries. So, you took at least pleasure in that win to get you over the Dolphins there. And now, two, and you just rub it in my face. That's all.
Yeah, it's a friendly little banter back and forth. You had it the first half, and now I get to the second half. And so, I always love it when we beat the Dolphins.
Yeah, I trust me. I know you're really well that. Mac Jones, are you concerned? Or are you up still? What's your thoughts on Mac Jones?
I just think he's young. I think he's extremely talented. I think he's young. I think he needs a veteran quarterback there that can kind of guide him and help him.
If Bill Belichick called you and said you could be my offensive coordinator, what would you
say? No, I would be concerned because I know nothing about football.
Some would argue that the other one doesn't know offense either. Anyway, that's fair. Do you think we'll ever see a reunion here? That's been some people have whispered this. Maybe Brady. No chance.
No.
You would like to see it though, if as a fan.
For sure, to have Tom Brady back in the New England Patriots jersey, absolutely, and then to guide and teach Mac Jones for sure.
What's it been like watching Brady this year? Do you kind of wish he would have retired, or are you like, no, you know what? He's still doing it pretty well.
The guy just threw for 400 yards. He's still playing exceptional, football, and the guy loves it, and it's like all these people are just jealous because they can't play as long as him. And, he does such an incredible job of taking care of his body, preparing for the games. It's like, why are you ripping on this guy who still loves to play? Let him play. Let him keep doing what he loves to do. Isn't that like the goal of everybody's life, to be able to just do what they love to do?
Well said. See, I love the passion. Now the passion's coming out. Brady there. That's why she's got the hood. Folks, for those who don't know, they're watching. She's got the Brady hoodie on. That's she's got the.
Oh yes, Brady. Life is good. Life is good.
That's good. That's pretty good. How'd you get that? How'd you get that? Where do you get?
I saw it on a website. I loved it.
All right, fair enough. Do you think he stays in Tampa? Do you think he retires after this year? Does he go into broadcasting? Does he keep playing? What do you think he does?
I don't know. I
just want a prediction. I want a prediction.
Going on what the 400 yards he just threw, I would think he still plays. Whether it's in Tampa, I have no idea. So I don't know. We'll see. I definitely don't want to see him in a Raiders uniform or a Dolphins uniform. That's it. That's all I got. Ooh. Tom, don't go to those two teams. Go to those two teams.
Why not the Raiders?
Oh, I've always hated the Raiders. I don't know.
Have you watched the Tuck Rule 30 for 30 on ESPN? Did you watch with Brady and Charles Woodson? What'd you think of that?
That was fun to watch, that banter back and forth. Both competitive, highly elite athletes going back and forth.
What do you remember? Where were you in the Tuck Rule when that happened live?
I don't remember where I was.
So you probably, okay. Man, I was curious. You probably were fired up there watching that somewhere, wherever you were.
My brother is a Raiders fan, and he still cannot get over it. So
okay. Well, yeah, no, they're never gonna get over it. No. But now I know if he ends up with the Dolphins, I expect some. I could be in some hot water. I got you.
It could be an issue. Yeah.
Our friendship could be in trouble. All right. All right. Last thing. As you get set to start the season, obviously in Baton Rouge and everything, what are a couple keys for this team to accomplish your goals? And look, I mean, there's so much fanfare. Obviously, the fans were incredible support. You want to keep that momentum going. But what's the keys for this team to accomplish their goals and keep that momentum from last year and the goals?
Yeah, one is they just learn the experience. Don't try and be last year's team. They need to be this year's team. It's a different group, a different culture, and so they need to just be themselves. Be this year's team. Be more solid at the plate. We've got to be more consistent on the offensive categories, and then defense wise, we need to lower our errors.
Well, we look forward to seeing your team up there in Baton Rouge before you know it, the season starts. But like I said, I always genuinely enjoy having you on every year. I know we kind of mess around, talk a little nonsense Dolphins Patriots talk, but we always learn a lot from you. It's talk from your experience in softball. And really, we're super excited for you last year when you made that great run to OKC. Look forward to seeing your team. But thanks for always taking the time to talk to us and to humor us as well. Always appreciative, and we'll be in touch.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I look forward to it every year.